Have you ever jumped off a diving board and felt a moment of weightlessness? That brief instant when you're suspended in mid-air, free from the pull of gravity. Now imagine that feeling, but for 5 full seconds. 5 seconds where gravity simply lets go. That's what we're going to explore, a world where gravity takes a 5-second vacation. What would happen to everything around us? It's a mind-bending thought experiment, to be sure. Imagine the chaos and the unexpected events that would unfold, but it's also a fascinating way to understand just how crucial gravity is to our existence. Without it, our world would be unrecognizable. So buckle up, because we're about to take a wild ride through a gravity-free Earth. This journey will challenge your perceptions. Hold on to your hats, because things are about to get strange. Get ready to see the world in a whole new light. Gravity, in the simplest terms, is the force that attracts everything with mass towards everything else. It's what keeps your feet firmly planted on the ground, what keeps our atmosphere from drifting off into space, and what keeps Earth in orbit around the Sun. Without gravity, our universe would be a very different place. There would be no stars, no planets, no galaxies, just a chaotic soup of particles floating aimlessly through the cosmos. Gravity, it's the law, even if it takes a 5-second break. And now let's imagine that gravity suddenly decided to take a 5-second break, just 5 seconds, where the force that keeps us grounded simply vanishes. What would happen? Well, for starters, everything that wasn't bolted down would suddenly be lifted into the air. Everyday objects like chairs, books, and even your morning coffee would start to float. People would float, cars would bob upwards, and even the oceans would start to rise. Imagine the waves lifting off the surface, creating a surreal and terrifying sight. It would be a scene of utter chaos, with objects colliding in mid-air and people scrambling for something, anything to hold on to. The sky would be filled with a jumble of floating debris. 5 seconds might not seem like a long time, but in the absence of gravity, it would feel like an eternity. Those moments would be filled with confusion, fear, and a desperate hope for gravity to return. Section 4, ripples in the fabric, atmosphere, and oceans in flux. The effects wouldn't stop there either. Earth's atmosphere, no longer held down by gravity, would start to dissipate into space. The oceans, meanwhile, would continue to rise, their waters no longer tethered to the planet's surface. We might even see strange atmospheric phenomena, like giant bubbles of air rising from the depths of the oceans, or massive waves of air crashing against the now weightless mountains. It would be a sight both beautiful and terrifying to behold. Section 5, the aftermath. A return to normalcy? After 5 long, strange seconds, gravity would return. The world would feel a jolt as everything that had been suspended in mid-air began to descend. People, objects, and even the tiniest particles would start their journey back to the ground. Everything that had been lifted into the air would come crashing back down to Earth. The impact would be chaotic, with debris scattering and vehicles slamming into the ground, creating a scene of utter disarray. The oceans would recede, albeit probably not back to their original coastlines. The water levels would be altered, reshaping the shorelines and changing the geography of coastal areas. The atmosphere, though somewhat depleted, would gradually replenish itself over time. The particles would slowly come together, reforming the thin clouds and restoring the sky to its former state. But the experience would leave its mark on our planet, a stark reminder of the invisible force that governs our existence. The landscapes would bear the scars of this brief but intense disruption. Gravity. Don't take it for granted, because 5 seconds is all it takes to turn our world upside down. It is the force that keeps us grounded, the silent guardian of our everyday life.